The Trader Cobb Crypto Show, talking business in blockchain.
This show is proudly sponsored by coinspot.com.au. With the largest range of cryptocurrencies anywhere in the Australian market and an updated verification process, you can now be verified using only your driver's license or passport. Providing your details match your ID document, you can be signed up and verified in seconds. You can instantly deposit funds and instantly start buying and selling your favorite cryptocurrencies in under 5 minutes. For $10 worth of Bitcoin, visit www.coinspot.com.au/BTC123 now. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Trader Cobb Crypto Show. Today's guest is a technology piece of royalty, really. I won't say dinosaur because that would be disrespectful. This man's been around to watch the birth of the internet, was one of the founders and creators of VOIP, and also helped push forward the movement into Wi-Fi communication through routed internet and whatnot. I have got Alex Mashinsky here, and he does a couple of things right now. He's the CEO, first of all, of the Celsius Network, which we're going to dig into in a minute because you're going to want to know a lot about this. And he's also the founding partner, or the founder and managing partner, that was hard work, at Governing Dynamics, which is basically a company that invests in all sorts of businesses all around the world. Thank you so much for your time, Alex. You must be a very busy man.
Yeah, thanks for having me. And listen, it's an honor to be on the show, and we're here to share our knowledge and learn from everybody. So, great way to have a conversation.
I agree with you, mate. I've been looking forward to this one. I want to pick your brain on a couple of things. For a start, I gave you a pretty average introduction. There's a lot that you've done. I wrapped your entire life career and all the successes and failures into about 10 seconds. Do you want to just walk us through what you've actually been involved with and why it's brought you to here and why you think you can take on the banks?
So, yeah, look, I think I have a unique background. I was born into communism in the Ukraine, back in the 60s. I grew up in Israel and socialism, and spent the last 30 years in capitalism in the United States. So I got to test all the three major systems that most people in the world live under. And, each one of them has its advantages and disadvantages. I can tell you right now in America, 1/10 of 1%, or about 30,000 people, has the same wealth as 90% of the population, or 300 million people. So capitalism, as good as it is, it's working for me. I'm part of that 1/10 of 1%. It does not work for 90% of Americans. And for me, I think it's a lot about giving back. We don't have to squeeze as hard as we do. I think there are great ways like cryptocurrencies to redistribute wealth and give an opportunity for the average Joe to create wealth for themselves. And I think disrupting the banks is part of that process, because the banks do an excellent job for the very rich, but they do a horrible job for the average Joe, right? They squeeze the average Joe every day. So I think what Celsius Network is really trying to do is reverse that. Is trying to, instead of the bank keeping 90% of what is made out of your money, we're giving 80 up to 90% back to the community. So all the earnings on your capital are being returned to the coin holders, and we're always acting in the best interest of the coin holders. So that's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. I did that with VOIP, and now we're going to MOIP, to money over IP. So VOIP, we disrupted the phone companies. They used to charge us, remember working with Telstra and all these guys, $3 a minute.
Yeah. And
now here we are talking for free.
Yeah.
So
thanks to you.
Yeah, and it took 25 years, and still only half of the people in the world use VoIP. The other half insists on paying the phone company. But so the same thing with crypto, right? We're 10 years old. We have about 25 million users. We got to get to that 2 billion. So we got to grow 100x or more to really change the world, and that's my main mission.
Mate, I'm with you on that, and you've done it in many ways already. As I say, look what we're doing right now. Thanks, buddy. You've made it easier for me to do what I do. Appreciate your good work. Keep at it. Let's just tap in straight away into Celsius Network. So effectively, for those that don't know, I mean, we're going to get a good lowdown right now, but check it out because it's basically where, I mean, look, let me give you an example, listeners and viewers out there. Many people have crypto, obviously, and they might not want to sell it. So they got Bitcoin, Ethereum, whatever they got. They don't want to actually sell it. Now, around comes the mortgage or the car breaks down or, you know, one of these things happen. They tend to happen in 3s or 4s or 16s. And all of a sudden you go, holy crap, I need some more money. I don't want to sell my crypto assets because I'm a true believer in this space. I want to use that. I want to help hold and create that additional wealth that you quite rightly talk about. But you need some money, and that's the bottom line. So rather than having to just go and sell the lot, you can actually use Celsius Network to maybe even bridge that little bit that you need. So that's a really, I guess, solid use case for the platform. Do you want to take us into a little bit more detail about how it all works?
Yeah, so Celsius Network was created to solve two problems. One of them is what you mentioned, is how do you take get access to fiat or dollars or euros or any other currency, Australian dollars, right, as against the value that is stored in your Bitcoin. And what we do is effectively we charge as little as 4.95% per year for loans. So we will take the crypto on deposit and we will give you dollars. You still keep all the upside on the crypto. So obviously, like you said, if you sold your coins last week at $3,800 a Bitcoin, and you looked at the price of Bitcoin this morning, and you saw that it was over 5,000.
You don't look.
Yeah, you don't look. Exactly. You would feel really bad. So this gives you an opportunity to keep all the upside. We don't take any of that. We don't charge any fees. We just charge the interest we publish. We do this for the community. And for people that don't need a loan, they can just deposit the coins and earn interest. So, for example, right now we pay 5.1% per year in interest on Bitcoin. Or, for example, we pay 7.5% on Dash. So if you keep your Dash on an exchange or you keep it in a cold wallet, you're not earning anything. And you can just deposit it with BitGo. We use BitGo as a custodian. They're one of the best. And you can earn interest on your coins. So it's kind of two sides of the same service, same coin. And we create value, we create returns on that capital, and we give 80% back to the community. So we've been paying interest now for 9 months. Every Monday, we pay interest to all of our members, like a clock. And all the people who are storing coins on exchanges scratch their head and ask themselves why I'm not earning as well. So it's a pretty easy value proposition.
So with that being the case, I mean, look, right now we're in a low interest environment globally, more or less, right? The yields are so low on savings accounts. You look at some other types of funds, they're down. It's a volatile space. A lot of the major, in our country, in Australia, where I am, and I think they're pension funds, 406, is that what they are? Or 406k or whatever? Anyway, the pension, that's it. The pension stuff, the retirement funds, they've been underperforming for a long time now. And same with, if you go to a lender here, for example, in Australia, you're putting your capital up for second tier broking or lending at a bank level, right? And there is obviously a great deal of risk associated with that in an overinflated property market similar to what we have here in Sydney, as an example.
Yes.
Why are people not looking at this and going, 5% yield? Okay, well, I'm going to put $1 million in, and I'm talking about, people that have wealth, they will look at the numbers, the sheer numbers, and go, what's the risk? What's the reward? What's the return? And look at that and go, okay, well, if I put $1 million into Bitcoin right now, that means I'm going to get 5.51% or whatever. If that number's not exact, then that's fine. But around that sort of figure per annum, plus we just seen it come off very, very heavily. I might really grow that asset base as well. So I might get my, my $50,000, $60,000 a year from my investment through the yield that you're offering through the company there. Celsius Network, that's what I just forgot the name. But I also could, take that 1 million to 3 or 4 million over the next year or so. It seems like there should be more people getting involved. Are you out there knocking on the doors of these sorts of places, or is it more about the community that's already there?
Right. Each person needs to evaluate their risk level. And the good news is that if you download the Celsius app from the App Store, either on Android or on Apple, and you can see we have 16 different currencies in there, right? 16 different coins. Yeah. And they really divide into three groups. There is a group of coins that are the traditional ones, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, Ripple, and so on. Those are volatile coins, so they move a lot. And you are taking a risk that something could go down as much as it could go up. No one can promise you that these things are going to be going up forever. So for a lot of people, that is just too much risk. But most people don't know that for example, Celsius supports 6 different stable coins. What does it mean, stable coin?
And they give a better return. Exactly.
They pay 7.1%, and they're pegged to either the dollar, the euro. We even have one product that is pegged to the pound. So you can pick your peg. If you want to take your Australian dollar and basically put it into USD and earn 7.1%, what is the risk you're taking, right?
Whoa,
so I think that for people looking for safety and return, for me, that is a much safer product, right? So if I was doing my own portfolio, I would say, look, I'm going to put 10% in Bitcoin because Bitcoin is a very volatile. It can go up, but it can also go down. And I'm going to put 80% into the stable coin that's going to earn me that 7%, 7 times more than the bank pays me, right? And I'm going to put another 10% into 10 different coins, into a basket of 10 different coins, because they are much smaller than the Bitcoin. And I don't know what's going to happen there. Right? So I'm creating a basket of return. So this is a great example of getting exposure to the cryptocurrencies, but really keeping 80% of your basket at a very low risk, but still yielding much higher rate. And really, look, JP Morgan can pay you 7% right now, right? They made $30 billion in profit last year. In profit, not in revenues. So they can pay every person on the planet $5 and still have a profit. Yeah. Right? That's how much profit they generate. So they just don't have to. They don't have to pay you 7%. They get away with paying you nothing or paying you less than 1%. And all we're doing at Celsius is we're saying, look, we know how to generate return just like JP Morgan. We know how to basically do it in a safe way. We only lend against asset-backed loans. So you have to give us 200% of Bitcoin for us to give you 100% of dollars. Right, so if you want to borrow $1,000, you have to give us $2,000 worth of Bitcoin or Ethereum and so on. So the lender here is protected with a lot of assets, right? And so it's very, very low chance of default. And by doing so, effectively, we are giving 80%. When we collect 9% from the borrower, we give 7.1% to the lender, or 80% of the value. So the borrower gets to pay a lower rate. I'm sure if you borrowed on your credit card in Australia, you'll pay double that rate. But if the bank usually collects it, right? The bank pays less than 1% and lends it to your neighbor on their credit card at 18, 20, 25%. Yep. But they keep that 24% profit. They don't share it with you. You don't get a check at the end of the year that says, thank you, mate, for letting us use your money for free. Yep. So here, Celsius just acts in the depositor's best interest. That's all we're doing. I mean, we didn't invent a new system. We're doing exactly what banks do. We just give most of the value back to the depositor.
So how do I lose? I mean, is there a liquidation point for which if I've got, $10,000 of Bitcoin in, I've borrowed 5 against that 200% ratio you speak of, at what point do you call that in and go, right, sorry, mate, we've got to liquidate your Bitcoin to make sure that we get you out of this position so that we're paid back and here's what's left over? I mean, at what point do I lose?
So we don't force liquidate. I can tell you that since we launched, we've done over $1 billion worth of loans, more than all of our competitors put together. And we have not liquidated a single borrower or a single lender, right? So, and the reason for that is that we're offering basically if it moves from 50% to 70%, so if it moves 20 points against you, meaning the price of Bitcoin has to drop by 20%, yep. The system sends you a notice and says, you have 3 options. 1, you can return some of that loan to reduce your exposure, to go back to par.
Yep.
2, you can basically put more coins on deposit, right? You can deposit more Bitcoin with us to increase your collateral, to go back to par. Or 3rd, we can sell some of your coins. We don't have to sell the entire position. We just have to sell, 10, 15% to get you back to the same level basically of 50% ratio. So,
And, oh, sorry.
yeah, so because again, we represent your best interest, we don't charge fees, we don't charge penalties, we don't charge late fees or termination fees or liquidation fees or anything like that. No fees whatsoever, right? The interest that you pay is the only fee you're paying. And, we give you all the options to really go back to that. Because otherwise we'll be just like a bank, right? I mean, otherwise, if we claim to be much better than a bank and we charge you all these fees, then what did we do? So most of our customers put more coins on deposits. Some of them return a portion of the loan. And I can tell you, people that refinance their credit cards and pay a third or a quarter of the interest that they used to pay, that is a great thing, and they still have the upside in the coin, right? So it's a win-win for us. It's a lose-lose for the banks. So that's really, it's a service that works great, and the depositors get to make, again, 5, 6, 7 times more than what they get in the bank. So everybody benefits. The guys that lose are the banks because people are withdrawing deposits from them and stop using their credit cards. It's like a double whammy. The banks don't like me. I'm definitely not their friend.
You need some good security around you, mate.
Yes. Yes.
I'll put the tinfoil hat off. I'll take the tinfoil hat off, actually. So, look, I mean, one of the things that you talked about is the desire to change the world, to give power back to the people, to basically go, look, guys, here's what the banks do. We can save you money. We can help you out. We can do it by using the blockchain. It helps with the, the uptake. That's the next thing I want to touch on before we run out of time is, we've seen prices go up. Now, this is going to air probably in a few days' time from when we recorded it. Now, the price right now on Bitcoin is about, what do we got now? 52. Still going up. Beautiful. So as Bitcoin goes up in price, the value is not underpinned by just the price alone. The value is underpinned by the user base that's in the market. Now, we've got something like 50 million wallets or something along those numbers now. We need to increase that to first 100, then 200, then 1 billion. Oops. And basically get to a point whereby we have a lot more of the populace being involved in it. How are we going to do that?
Yeah, so that's why I created Celsius Network, right? I've been holding coins since 2013. I invested in ICOs. I did very well, but frankly, we're all speculators shuffling coins with each other.
Yeah.
And we can't grow this community if all we have is like, think about it, it's like a 4-man relay race, right? The first guy with the baton, the guys that stole the baton from Satoshi were all anarchists, right?
Yep.
And they barely got 1 million people to join the revolution, right? Then they passed the baton to the libertarians. They got about 3 million people to join. And the libertarians in 2015 or so passed the baton to speculators. Speculators got 20 million people to join all over the world from 100-something countries. And they were hoping to pass the baton to the institutions.
Yeah.
And the institutions dropped the baton. They were like, hey, the regulatory stuff is unclear. The security stuff is not good enough. The scalability stuff isn't there. You guys figure it out. Come back to us in a few years. Maybe we'll pick the baton. So the price action of dropping 80 or 90% had to do with the fact that we ran out of people. That's the only reason, So I agree with you 100%. Most people are not going to come and buy Bitcoin or Ethereum or Litecoin because they want to shuffle coins. They're going to come because they want to earn interest or because they will need a cheap loan. These are services that every person on the planet needs. So the reason we're doing this and the reason we're giving almost everything back to the community is to create that no-brainer approach for people to kind of look at this and say, wow, 7%, that is a good enough reason for me to start to open an account, to deposit some coins, take some money out of a bank, buy Bitcoin or whatever, and start experimenting with this network. I can tell you that when I created VOIP, I came to Australia in 1995, first time. I was in Sydney working with Telstra, deploying voice over IP with AT&T and Telstra. And we took something that used to cost $3 a minute and started selling it at 50 cents a minute. And no one thought about it even for a second. They're like, of course. You giving me something that used to cost 3 minutes for 50 cents. Yeah. Of course I'm going to use it, right? So it's the same thing here. If you give the value, great value to the consumers, then they change their habits, right? And using banks is just a bad habit. It's just a bad habit. It works great for the banks. Works great for the bank's shareholders. It does not work well for the average Joe.
And the thing is, I find it fascinating when they say that banks are trusted. How are they trusted? Why are they trusted? They've shown that they've ripped people off time and time again. And guess what? They screw us. Okay, rant coming, just a caveat on that, just a little disclaimer. Craig does not like the banks. They come along, they screw us, they cost us money, their shares fall, the pension funds go apart, bang, 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 they repossess our houses.
And then they make a mistake, we bail them out.
Exactly, exactly. And then we bail them out. And then they go, oh no, they're trusted. If that's what trust is to you, then I'm sorry that you've been brought up that way.
Yeah, you know the expression, you can pluck a chicken one feather at a time and no one notices?
Yeah.
So 30 years ago when I came to the States, banks, normal banks, you could walk into any bank and they would pay you 7 or 8% interest on your money. No questions asked.
Yeah.
And slowly that rate just came down as banks basically merged. And instead of 100 banks, now you have basically 5 banks that dominate the planet. They don't have to do that. They don't have to pay more because none of them, they all proudly advertise their 1% per year ad as if it's like, wow, look at this great rate you're giving me, right? Yeah. So it's ludicrous that the banks don't generate money. They take a deposit and they lend it to you or your neighbor, and they pay you 1% and they charge you 25%. I mean, it's just crazy. If you're a real estate broker, they're just a toll collector. If you're a real estate broker or your insurance broker kept 90% of your home value when they sold the house, what would you do? Would you ever use them? But we keep giving our money to the banks every day. So all we're doing is we created a system that is a completely separate ecosystem, right? It's a different network that is completely separate from the bank, just like VoIP was a separate network that ran on the internet. It had nothing to do with the TDM network. Same way here, we created a cryptocurrency platform. It's global, it works on a public blockchain, and it does not touch any of the banking infrastructure, and that's why we can do this, right? So it's open to anyone on the planet, unless they live in the country where it's illegal. And basically, a person from Vietnam or a person from Australia or a person from Canada can earn exactly the same rate by just converting their local currency into a stable coin or into BTC, for example, and depositing it and making it work. Make the money work for you, right? You don't have to move it to a savings account. You don't have to check it 5 times a day. You don't have to jump in and do a loop in this. I mean, it's crazy. The banks do everything to make sure you forget to put your money somewhere where it will earn 1%. Yeah. You know, JP Morgan, half of their deposits don't earn anything. And they have something like $15 trillion on deposit. And half of that doesn't earn anything. So it's daytime robbery, you know?
I get it. And with that, I think it's probably a really good call to action to suggest where people find more information about Celsius Network and you.
So it's very easy to find us. Again, in the App Store, just do a search for Celsius Network. Or on the web, it's www.celsius.network. Join us on Telegram, Celsius Network. You can email me directly, alex@mashinsky.com, my last name. Or you can just search for my name. I have at least 100 YouTube videos and podcasts that you can listen to with me. I'm talking about all this different stuff, explaining it. Some of them are more technical. Some of them are more talking about the future of the blockchain, why this is important for humanity. And my call to action is, if you don't like Celsius, you don't want to do anything with Celsius, fine. Go bring 10 of your friends to the blockchain. Open a wallet and send 10 of your friends $1 each and just bring them on, because the only way we can have a revolution is if everybody uses it. There isn't WhatsApp or Skype or successful services, because you can find anybody you need, anybody you know on that network. It's the same way here. Here you have to, if you want to use it for payments or if you want to use it for interest income, we need to bring everybody to the network, and then it will be successful. And your kids will thank you, because they're the ones who are going to have to really live with this network, right? We still have options, but our kids are definitely going to, when they inherit these trillions of dollars that we owe in debt, and it's not going to be a good day. So they better have some Bitcoin to protect them from inflation and from the wrath of debt, you know?
I hear you loud and clear. And I mean, there's so many things that we can do, and bringing it back to that, we need to be working within our society, our friends, our family, our aunties, our uncles. All these people need to understand what this opportunity is. It's not just a conversation for Christmas time. It's a conversation for all the time. Alex, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on the show of Celsius Network. I thank you for your time. I wish you all the best of luck. Hopefully, you have enough success that they don't come after you, but enough success that we can grow this wonderful ecosystem and offer other opportunities going forward. So thanks again very much for your time out of New York. I know you're a busy man. We'll speak again in the future. And I'm going to check it out for sure.
Thanks for having us. Thanks for the opportunity.
Good on you guys, ladies and gentlemen. Have a fantastic day. Bye for now. This show is proudly sponsored by coinspot.com.au. With the largest range of cryptocurrencies anywhere in the Australian market and an updated verification process, you can now be verified using only your driver's license or passport. Providing your details match your ID document, you can be signed up and verified in seconds. You can instantly deposit funds and instantly start buying and selling your favorite cryptocurrencies in under 5 minutes. For $10 worth of Bitcoin, visit www.coinspot.com.au/BTC123 now.